All right, welcome back to another video on the collection. Welcome everybody. All right, let's see. Okay, last time we talked about the Atari collection here, and now we're gonna move on to the PS2. But a couple things I noticed. A couple things when I was making the last videos. A couple buddies of mine were mentioning some stuff they wanted me to talk about, and so real quick, let's just, before we get to the PS2, let's real quick go back over here to the Genesis, because Leroy wanted me to mention this game I have in my Genesis collection, Sorcerer. You guys see that? Let me give you guys a second to think about what you might think that this is. Yeah, so I have, this is the weirdest game probably in my collection that I have. Just a couple little, I didn't think, I thought after I made the video, I was like, man, I should have mentioned that. But I found this game at a thrift store, and I don't know if you can tell the type of like weird, it's like a Crayola book, you know, like a coloring book type of paper. And I was like, what in the hell is Sorcerer? You know, and I'm like, what could this possibly be? You know, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. So what it is unfortunately it's not some weird unique one game that like is haunted or whatever the fuck that I was hoping it would be. But what it actually is, and this is my only stipulation, is originally this probably had no label. When the last person or last kid owned it, it didn't have a label, right? So they popped it in. It's Strider, and they couldn't read the font because the font on the main title is really weird, and thought that it said Sorcerer. And so what they did was took from a coloring book and glued and made their own label, which I think is honestly like super creative. That's a very unique, like little creative thing to do, you know. So I thought that's pretty neat. So that's probably one of the weirdest games in my collection I have. I also failed to mention all the different types of Sonic 2 cartridges I have. Here's a few. I have one here. So this is like the not for sale. This one's all beat up. I got a couple in box over here, but this one says Mega Drive on it. I think this may have been like I don't know if this was like a Canada version or what. I'm not sure, but it says Mega Drive. It's very strange. And then this one is like a weird, I don't know. Are you guys familiar with G to the Next Level? YouTuber, big Sega collector, like one of the best authorities, I think, on Genesis stuff. But I was gonna ask him about this because he like knows these, and I keep forgetting to send him a picture of them. But anyway, this is a weird copy that I own. It's like a North American cartridge. It's kind of bootleg. I have no idea what this is. Look at the label, goes all the way down to the bottom. I don't know what the heck is with that, but it's very strange. This is like the artwork from the Japanese one, but it's not a Japanese cartridge. It's so strange. But anyway, just a couple weird things. But and the other thing was Buffalo wanted me to like mention demo discs, which I don't remember showing off any demo discs. I don't know. We'll have to look at these here in a second. But oh, he may have just been mentioning the Xbox ones over there. So anyway, we're gonna get to some demo discs here in a second though. So anyway, Leroy wanted me to mention that Sorcerer game, and yeah. So okay, so the PS2. This is my PS2 collection. I got 2 shelves here of PS2 stuff, right? And bro, I gotta say, so you remember me telling you I started with the Xbox? That was the console that I had. I didn't really get into PS2 until a while afterwards. You know, I think I don't know, it was quite a while afterwards, and it all started because like some friends, we were all getting together drinking, and somebody said, hey, we should play Guitar Hero. And I was just like, well, I don't have that, whatever, let's go to GameStop. And at the time, a PS Slim was like 20 bucks. And Guitar Hero was like 5 or whatever, so I just grabbed that so that we could play. And from there, that's where the addiction started. And you know, I think for a long time, myself and a lot of Xbox people, you know, we kind of poked fun at the PS2, right? Because it was like Xbox was the new thing and the hardware was better and yada yada, you know. And we poked fun at the PS2 a lot. And I think it's just, you know, it's that console like loyalty. When you only have one and you're a kid, you know, you're kind of loyal to it. So but afterwards, you know, it was also one of those things that, keep in mind also, you know, you guys know I'm a huge Sega fan, and like as a Sega fan, as a big fan of Sega, when the Dreamcast went out, although Sega was a lot to blame for their own demise. The PS2 was like the final nail in the coffin. So there was like maybe a little grudge there, but seriously though, in all honesty though, I love the PS2. I discovered just how amazing it was, and I had friends who had the PS2, so I was always around it, but I never fully appreciated it until afterwards. So basically, these games here, let me explain how I have so many of these games. Garage sales, thrift stores, all that that goes without saying, right? I've mentioned that several times. That's where I get games. And PS2 games, up until very recently, they're just a dime a dozen. Bro, they're so easy to find, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're just all over the place. But for me specifically, there was a local pawn shop in town that would get PS2 stuff all the time. They'd have a whole big shelf of PS2 stuff, and their policy for their prices for this stuff for PS2 games was $2 a game, regardless of what the game was. They were a general wares category, so they fell under DVDs or whatever, so it was basically $2 and that's it. They didn't take into consideration what it was, nothing. So for I don't know how long, I mean, I would go in, and on payday I would go in, and I'd go in with $20 or something, and I'd go, okay, here's these. I like these games, whatever. I'd grab this, and I'd buy those. And then 2 weeks later, I'd go in with 20 more bucks, sometimes 12, sometimes 30, whatever, and buy some more. And obviously, they didn't always have stuff that I wanted, but, a lot of the times they would have stuff that, so I was able to make this collection start growing, pretty fast for very cheap, And another thing about the PS2, collecting for the PS2 was that it has a lot of variety in its games. There's so many different genres, and one of my favorite genres, probably in my top 3, is survival horror games. And I'm a big Silent Hill fan. And mind you, I mentioned this before, but on streams, but Silent Hill 3 is my favorite game of all time. Like, not just my favorite Silent Hill or favorite survival horror, like my favorite game, period. That's my favorite game ever. And I played this because a friend had a PS2 and he had this. Now, this is a PS2 and PC exclusive. I played Silent Hill 2 because it came out on Xbox. I played Silent Hill 1 when it was pretty new because I had a used PS1 at the time. But 3 was one that I got to play a little bit but never got to really sink my teeth into until I got it on PC, actually. But this is one that, it just has so many survival horror games, is my point. Like, the thing about the PS2 library that is so amazing is that it's so vast, and it has everything. It doesn't matter what kind of game you're in, genre, you are going to find games on this console that you're going to like, no matter what. And I don't think you can say that about every console, And I mean, like, a lot of those games. The other reason I like PS2 a lot is because it's never ending. I jokingly say I'm going for a PS2 completed collection, but the reason I say that is because, I know that it's a never-ending goal. So it's always something that I could, even if I got rid of anything else, I could always go for the goal of PS2 collecting, and I would always have something to collect. I'll never finish it. You know what I'm saying? So, am I serious about the complete collection? Not entirely, but it doesn't hurt to try, right? So that's kind of how I've always gone for and why I've always liked the PS2. So, so a couple games. Let's just go through a couple of the games that I think are worth mentioning or talking about, or just kind of some of the ones that I like. So, of course, a lot of puzzle games, a lot of survival horror games. On this, I run into these sort of anime type RPGs a lot of JRPGs now. Some of the games, I would say this whole shelf here was just for me buying games personally. Maybe, actually, probably this whole shelf plus these 2 shelves here. About this many, 3 shelves worth of these games came from 2 sources. One of them was a friend of mine one of his coworkers, like grandma, had a bunch of games, PS2 games that she played or something, and was selling them all in one. So I bought those, Another one was from my buddy Dave, who I bought a whole bunch of games off of. I mentioned before the Mojo Menace boys. Dave had a ton of games. He was getting rid of his collection, and he offered me a price. And how could I refuse such a handsome guy? You know what I'm saying? So I got a bunch of games acquired from that too. I just made one big purchase. So, but a lot of these games, like the RPGs, came from the grandma. I don't know. She had all these RPG games. Now duplicates. You'll notice I don't have a lot of duplicates. That doesn't mean I didn't. I had a fucking ton of duplicates. At one point, I think I had like 3 copies of this. And 2 copies of whatever, and a lot of the duplicates I ended up trading because I started thinking about it, and I'm just like, I don't need to stockpile this shit. Some games I like having duplicates of, and I'll explain that here in a second. But I got rid of a bunch of duplicates, because I wanted more just variety. Obviously, shelf space and is a issue when you get this many games, so I had to think about that. But anyway, regardless, let's see. Let's check out a couple of these games. The Bible game I've been trying to play forever, like 4-player for the lulz. But it's like, I don't know. I keep having problems with my multi-tap. Beyond Good and Evil, great game. Bombastic is a pretty interesting game. This is a weird puzzle game. Like I said, man, I go crazy for these like multiplayer puzzle games. They're just such a good time. I really like the PS2 era. PS2 and PS3 era, I started like really like playing a lot of these games that were like targeted towards like younger teenage girls, because like I think there just wasn't a ton of them before. Like a lot of games didn't like target young girls or whatever. It was always like targeting boys for the most part. So the PS2, I think, really started a lot with games that were they're not bad either. Like some of the, like, have you ever played Monster High? I don't know how this one is, I just think the brats are, this is just one of them things where it's like, oh, I don't have those games, let's put it in the collection. But have you ever played the Monster High game on like PS3? It's like a 3D platformer, and they're really a lot of good games, and I think that they often get like ignored by a lot of fucking dudes who collect games because I don't know, they're afraid to play fucking Brats or something. I don't know, but they're fun. I like 3D platformers, and there's a surprisingly there's a lot of like good games and stuff. Because normally at one point, if a game was marketed towards girls, it was just shitty. Like they would fucking half-ass it, So, but I think that the PS2 is when they start actually making like quality games, So there's some hidden gems there sometimes. I don't know about these. Again, I haven't played the Bratz games. I'm just saying, like, there is some out there. What's this look like? I don't know. It looks pretty fun. But regardless, Buffy. That's a pretty tight game. Let's see. Okay, so this is one thing I really love about the PS2. It had a lot of collections. There's a lot of like arcade collection discs. The Taito Treasures, or Taito Collection Treasures, is one I'm still going after, but it seems to be steadily going up more and more in price, and I haven't found a comfortable price range for it just yet. This one's really good too, but they would have all these like arcade ports, of Capcom games or SNK or you name it. This was one of the best parts about the PS2. Again, if you like classic shit, boom, dude, you got tons of arcade games in here. Street Fighter 2, I mean, all this stuff. This was like, it was such a value, man, when you think about it. CVS 2, that's one of the best fighting games of all time. It's up there for best 2D fighter, if you ask me. Then you got weird stuff like this. What kind of game do you guys think this is? RPG? Dating sim? Maybe it's a strategy game. You're all wrong. It's a fucking shmup. Shmups are weird, bro. I mean, I like shmups. I think the community's cool, but man, they're strange. It's like Death Smiles on Xbox. This is a sequel from I think this is like a game I also have on Saturn. Chulip. This is one fucking John, my buddy John, keeps going on and on about, and I have yet to play it. I still need to play that damn thing, and I keep saying I'm going to. Contra. I got a lot of decent ones, Here's oh, that's just a disc only. That's actually Dark Cloud 1. I need to get a case and manual for that, but don't worry about that. Dawn of Mana. See, a lot of these little action RPGs are a lot of fun. I've tried this one, you know. So I have a couple duplicates. Let's stop for 1 second, talk about this. I have 2 copies of Clock Tower 3. I have 3 copies of Silent Hill 3. You know, I have like stuff like that. You know, every once in a while I will have duplicates that I go out of my way to make sure I keep. And the reason is, if they're games I really like if I really like them and they're like horror games, specifically if they're ones that are fucking expensive, you know, sometimes for no damn reason, I always keep a backup. Because, you know, I've had games have disc rot, you know. I've had games when I was younger, motherfuckers would steal shit from me, friends or whatever. Not that you know, all my friends aren't fucking children anymore, so they don't do that. But, you know, so sometimes there's certain games where I'm like, I want a backup, just in case or whatever. And, you know, Silent Hill 3 is one of those. I'll own 20 copies of that if I could get them, you know. I've just acquired them over time. Actually, I did have 4. I used to have 4 copies of it, and I gave one to Kyle. But I'm like, I just like having backups. It's one of those weird things where I'm like scared that something's going to happen to it. But, you know, I don't do that often. I try not to do that a whole lot. Front Mission 4 is really good. I've been wanting to play more horse racing games just because I think it would be fun to do on stream, make bets with points or something, but I still need to figure out a way to do that. Gauntlet Dark Legacy. This was a game that I recently realized, like, so Leroy and I would play Gauntlet, one of the 3D Gauntlets in the arcade all the time. Dude, we played the shit out of that at the arcade, and that was one of our favorite games. And I thought it was Gauntlet Legends for the longest time. I only recently realized that it was Dark Legacy that we used to play all the time, so I'm excited to play that here pretty soon. Fatal Frame 1, 2, and 3. See, these are great. I love collecting the survival horror games. There's like 3 or 4 survival horror games that I don't own that I probably never will. Yeah, Kuon, Haunting Ground, and Rule of Rose are 3 big ones that I really want that I'll probably never get. I almost bought Rule of Rose recently, but again, these are, you know, a couple $100 at least. So chances are I'm not ever gonna fucking get one unless I get lucky and run across it somewhere. If they don't know what they have or whatever. But there's a few others, obviously. Obscure is one that I don't have. There's a couple other survival horror games that are pricey, but you know, Siren 2 I think is maybe a little pricey, but I don't know for sure. I just know like Kuon is one I really want, and the Haunting Ground and Rule of Rose. Those are the 3 big ones. But anyway, so I have this here, Dot Hat Confection. I'd like to get into these. One of these in this is also fucking extremely expensive because, you know, it's a retro game, so it's got to be $800 fucking dollars. But well, you know, there's some good shit here. There's a lot of cool stuff here. Neat little RPGs and everything like that. Everblue is a weird game that I bought off of a guy in town from like Craigslist. You like go diving for treasure. This is a game because I'm like afraid of water. I'll never like play, but it looks really nice and looks really cool, you know. Harvest Moon, pretty interesting. Guitaro Man. Yeah, look at this. Heavenly Guardian. Are you guys familiar with this? What the hell is that? Not that. Yeah, Heavenly Guardian. You guys familiar with this? So this was, if I'm not mistaken, I know I'm not mistaken. I just want to get the wording right. I think that this isn't a game in the Pocky and Rocky series, but I do believe that early in development it was going to be a new Pocky and Rocky game. I'm not quite sure, but if you play it, it's very similar. It's a pretty good game. I like it. I think it's pretty good. It's more like open world type Pocky and Rocky, but actually the character that you play in, the main character, looks very similar to one of the characters in the new Pocky and Rocky, the one on Switch. They look very similar, so I thought that was pretty funny. Pretty interesting, you know. Let's see here. I got, of course, 8,000 Grand Theft Auto games. Sometimes I'll keep a duplicate if it's a black label versus a red label. You know, I'm not too picky about this. Sometimes, like for PS2, I'm just like, okay, since I'm like always like, I'm going to collect everything for PS2. I'll get that. But sometimes it just depends on the game if I care about a Black Label or not. Just today, I actually bought a copy of Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey on PS1 that was Black Label, because that's, because it's one of my favorite series. I was like, okay, I actually want this, even though I have the green label. I wanted the Black Label variant, so I did pick that up today. So Gradius 3 and 4. See, this is a bunch of the Mojo Menace guys stuff. They love shmups, so I inherited a bunch of shmups. I say inherited, I paid for it. I bought a bunch of shmups off those guys. So yeah, both Getaways. Hobbit, I bought this new. This is a pretty fun little RPG game. I mean, this isn't my original copy, but I'm not RPG. It's a platformer, like an action platformer. Let's see here. Indigo Prophecy, Innocent Life. Are you guys familiar with Innocent Life? This is look at it. It says Futuristic Harvest Moon. That's what it is too. It's like, yeah, like space, like Moon Life type shit. Harvest Moon, really cool. That's a pretty neat one. Katamari Kengo. You guys probably remember our Portal Pals video. You probably not. I don't know. We have Portal Pals videos where we play Kengo. It's like a samurai fighting game. It's dope as hell. It's jank, but it's really good. You should check it out. Kessin, these games Leroy really likes. These are like action strategy games. Very cool. There's just so much stuff on the PS2. It's insane. It's hard to go through all of it. Mega Man Anniversary Collection, Mega Man X Collection. Very cool. They did that back on the PS2. Pretty crazy. Metal Arms is a really good 3D platformer that's very comedic. It's very funny. I feel like this had a little bit of like hype when it first came out and everybody forgot about it, but I highly recommend this game. It's very cheap and it's a lot of fun. You play as this cute little robot here, but he shoots and blows the shit out of a lot of other robots. But it's a very funny game. It's very comedic. There's a robot in this that sounds exactly like Ryan Stiles from fucking the Drew Carey show. I swear I thought it was him. Anyway, that's a really specific reference, but yeah, look at this. I got this here. I found this Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance. This was pretty neat. Little find. No, that's not a coffee stain. That's actually on the artwork. I found this at oh god, this $2. Oh my god, I know where I bought this from. Okay, there's a garage sale of people. Okay, every year there's a family here in town that I swear their whole income is garage sales. At one point they bought an abandoned building so that they could put their shit in it and sell it, right? I think that like they've been told to like cool it with the junk. Like they're hoarders basically. But every year there's a town-wide garage sale. You know, they call it world's largest garage sale, but it's actually not the world's largest garage sale. That's just what they call it. But I noticed a sticker because every year they have a garage sale, and they are very strange. Like they're like Hills Have Eyes people. I think that's what Leroy calls them. They're like the Hills Have Eyes family because they're very odd. Who knows? They're just these hillbillies. You know what I mean? We're in Oklahoma. They're hillbillies, right? And but they always have $2, and they always have a bunch of games. So it's like it's always a risk going there though, because I'm just like I don't want to interact with them fucking those weirdos. But anyway, yeah. Sometimes they'll have this sitting out, and you want to buy it, and then all of a sudden they'll change their mind and be like, oh, it's not supposed to be here. Shit like that. You know what I mean? So they're very, very interesting people. The half of them. Most of the family is related, if you know what I mean. And I don't mean like obvious, like they're cousins. I mean like they're all related in more ways than one. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. Yeah, Metal Slug 4 and 5, pretty cool. Oh yeah, these Midway Treasures are dope. Midway Arcade Treasures, Volume 1, 2, and 3. These are arcade. This is more like classic. This was more like 90s, early 90s, late 80s arcade games from Midway. And then Volume 3 was all driving and racing games. Super sick. Has Hydro Thunder on this. I don't have very many imports, but here's one of them that I have. The PS2 is very difficult to get to play imports. I have a free McBoot like memory card type stuff, but it involves, and I have hard drives, but it's all about like backing it up to the hard drive and playing it off a USB drive or blah blah blah, all this other shit. And it is such a hassle that I'm just like, I never know if it's worth it or not. I need to just buy a Japanese PS2, I guess. But bro, the problem is I would like to play burned games so that I can play English like fan translations of Japanese games. If I buy a Japanese PS2, I'm not going to be able to read the shit. That would solve my problem, but I want to be able to play fan translations of Japanese games. But regardless, it's not important. My point is the PS2 is hard to do imports. That's why I only have like one or two. I don't have a ton of them. But this is Mr. Mosquito. This is the Japanese version of Mr. Mosquito. I think it's called Mr. Mosquito. It might just be called Mosquito or something. That's it could be the case. I got a couple Gundam games. You know, these were really cool to find. I do like Gundam games quite a bit, actually. You know, I like Gundam. I'm not like a super fan. I'm not one of those dudes that can like look at a Gundam and tell you what model it is. And I haven't watched every series, but what I have done is when I do watch and everything, I start from the beginning, from like from Mobile Suit Gundam, like 79, you know, and I watch from start to finish, and then I go in order. So I've watched a ton of episodes, but there's just so many, you know, to keep up with, that sometimes I need a break. It's easy to get burnt out because there's just like, you know, like the first Gundam had like 50 episodes just for 79, and then it only grew from there, you know what I mean? So, and then like Double Zeta, by the time you get to that, it's only in Japanese. There was never an English one, so that one you have to listen, you have to find a translation with subs, or I mean with subtitles, and you know, it's just a lot of there's a lot of effort that goes into it. Not a demo disc, that's just a disc only. Neo Contra, I think, is super underrated. This is a great game. Yeah, you know, it doesn't play like a lot of the traditional Contra, but really none of them did by this point. Shattered Soldier kind of did. It was 2D side-scroller, or 2.5D side-scroller, but a lot of them didn't, you know? So, but this is more top-down action, and honestly, I think this is a super underrated game. Is it the best example of Contra? Not really, but is it a really good game? Yes, absolutely. I think this game it fucking slaps, dude, for real. Bro, Nightshade, I keep talking about this. I keep bringing this game up to people. This is the sequel to Shinobi. Shinobi on PS2, which is one of my favorite PS2 games, had a sequel called Nightshade, and this shit was ahead of its time, dude. Let me tell you something. If you boot this fucking thing up and do not instantly recognize, like, Bayonetta shit, you're blind. Like, this was doing some Bayo shit like years before. Like, the first stage opens up and you're fighting on a fucking like jet, like flying through a city, like doing flips and shit, and you're on it doing character action shit, fighting and everything. This game is amazing. I think this game is awesome, and it's either people like to act like it's not that good, or they just forget about it. I think it's one of those instances where it's just not exactly like Shinobi, so everybody's just like forgets about it, you know? Really good. This is a series I would like to get more into, No One Lives Forever. I really like I really like 1960s like movies and style and stuff a lot, and No One Lives Forever kind of has that like femme fatale 1960s detective, you know, like almost like Charlie's Angels thing. But I tried playing the first. I have both of them. I have No One Lives Forever, the first one here. Yeah, this is the first one on PC. But dude, like the first stage, I couldn't get past. I think it was like glitched or something. So one of these days I'll have to do that. Odin Sphere, somebody was asking me about this in stream chat the other day. Maybe it was Tom? I can't remember exactly who was asking me about that. I got all the Onimushas here. Those are fantastic. Polar Express. There's so much weird stuff. Polar Express got a video game on the PS2. Dude, everything was on PS2. Everything. Isn't that crazy? Some of it was not bad. You know what's shockingly not a bad game? The Da Vinci Code. I put that in and was like kind of surprised that it actually was decent. I was not expecting that. Okay, let's look at this demo disc here. So here's Shout outs to Buffalo. This is a Jam Pack PlayStation Underground. I forget that I have this, but look at this, $7.99. That tells me that this is kind of like the exhibition disc on Xbox. I am not familiar with this. I forget that I had this. Red Faction, Ico. Ooh, Ico. Zone of Enders. Damn, this is a pretty sweet deal. It's a pretty nice demo disc, and it's got videos. We'll have to figure that out, see what's on this. We'll have to check this out. Maybe I'll stream that or something like that, you know. Okay, so that's the first shelf. This is gonna be a long one, boys. Let me try to get a little quicker here. Radiant Story, really dope. Psychonauts, a fucking amazing game, right? We got Raiden 3. Rayman 3. Okay, so I've been talking to Joshua Turbo a lot about Rayman. I've just been talking about Rayman a lot lately because I miss playing it. And I remember him saying something about he's not so sure about 3. He doesn't remember it much because he loves 2, and you know, so do I. You guys saw me talking very highly of Rayman 2. I think all the Rayman games are awesome. I love the series or whatever, but I can tell you, Joshua, and anybody else, Rayman 3 is amazing. It is very good. It's a little different from 2. But I think it's on par, honestly. I like 2 better, but Rayman 3 is great because Rayman 3 has a ton of power-ups and that transform how he plays, and it's awesome. I really say, like, try it again. I got hooked on this one big time, but I would say if you haven't played Rayman 3, try it out. If you haven't played it in a long time, give it a retry. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that one quite a bit. Here comes the Resident Evil games. Code Veronica, Outbreak. I have File 2. Leroy has File 1. We have been for years trying to get coordinated on playing this together. So if you guys aren't familiar, look, see, $2. I got this from that pawn shop. If you guys aren't familiar, this is a Resident Evil game, classic style Resident Evil game. Like, let me see if I can get some screenshots. There you go. Tank control type, you know, Resident Evil, right? Except that it's up to 4 players. If you have a network adapter and you system link these like you would like the Xbox, you know, and you each have a copy of the game, you can play 4 players, and it's really like, think of like Left 4 Dead, but a Resident Evil game where you take the role of 4 different characters. You're like, I think in one of them you're in like a hotel, like a big hotel resort or something, and you're trying to survive, and there's like a whole story and shit, and you work together. Fucking awesome, right? That's what multiplayer Resident Evil should be, if you ask me, a full campaign. But that's File 2. There's also a File 1 that's a whole different game, but we've been talking for years, and we still haven't gotten around to do it because, man, it takes fucking... Okay, you need 4 copies of the game. One of them is really expensive. 4 TVs, 4 PS2... I mean, it's a pain in the ass, not to mention 4 dickhead friends who actually want to play this. So, Rivet King. This is a... Oh, that's not what I'm thinking. I was thinking of this. River King. Fishing game. If you guys can figure out how to play this better than me, I would say give it a try. This is like if Pokemon was a fishing game. Like, you go on fishing quests and stuff. It's all about catching fish, but it plays like in the style of Pokemon. And there's a Game Boy Color game of it. Also Rez, fucking goated game, dude. This is the sickest fucking game. If you guys never played this, probably the best rhythm game, if you ask me. Very like rhythm techno-y soundtrack. You're hacking into a computer. You're like a virus program or something like that. It's so sick. And you could buy a vibrator for it, which is cool. Check this out. SeaWorld. Shamu's Big Deep Sea Adventure. Fucking get out of here with that. That's funny. Oh my god, have you guys ever played Seek and Destroy? Oh Jesus. You see this title and you might think that's some like stupid shit. This game is adorable. In this game, you play as a tank, obviously, but the tank, there's no people driving the tanks. The tanks are sentient. Like, they have kings and like citizens. Like, there's little towns and everyone in it, they're tanks. And they talk. It's an amazing game. At one point, like in the game, they bring the king out, and it's a tank on a throne being carried by other tanks. It's such a good game, very underrated, and you can usually find it cheap as hell. What did I pay for it? Oh, shit, $2. Sick. Sega Classics Collection. This is the Sega ages when they would do 3D like remakes of classic Sega games. They did a ton of these in Japan. We only got that, I believe, and it doesn't have all the games. That's what I'm currently playing Phantasy Star on. I'm playing the remake of the first Phantasy Star, but it's the English fan translation of the Japanese version. Let's see here. Shadow of the Colossus. Gotta have a copy of that. There you go. Course of the Silent Hill, Shinobi, or Silent Hill Origins. This was originally it was first a PSP game. This could have been good. You guys know. I mean, if you guys talk to me enough about Silent Hill, you'll hear me talk shit a lot about people who accept Silent Hill 4 and beyond. We make fun of those people, right? Because if you're a real one, you know that there's no good Silent Hill past 3. Like, there was only 3 Silent Hill games, but no, I'm fucking around. But anyway, Silent Hill Origins was almost fucking like sick. PS2 game. The items have health in this, so you have to carry around a whole bunch of them. The PS2 version is I don't know. It's pretty good. It's a good console version. Silent Hill Shattered Memories is the real underrated gem of the series. The Silent Hill Shattered Memories should be the cult game. This game was doing shit, no kidding, like all the shit that like Until Dawn is famous for. This was doing it several years before. You would like answer questions in the game. So yeah, Silent Hill, I think Until Dawn literally took inspiration. You talk to a psychiatrist, answer questions, and the game changes and morphs around what you say. So it's like, it's literally, you guys should check it out. It's super ahead of its time. And yeah, it's awesome. It's actually a really good game. It's a retelling of the first game. So it's kind of weird, but I think it's a lot of fun. Siren, Sylphid. Look at this shit. What a great cover. This is another great shmup, arcade shmup. Siren, amazing game. SNK Classics Volume 1. This is a great collection. To me, I'll tell you this right now. This has Baseball Stars 2. I mean, Shock Troopers is literally like, that alone is a reason to get this for Shock Troopers. That is, that's probably in my top 5 SNK, like Neo Geo games. I could say Shock Troopers is so good. Great game. Let's see here. Soul Calibur, amazing game. Space Channel 5, Special Edition, amazing. Ooh la la. I love that character. So cool. I wish that series would come back in some way, you know. Star Ocean, I got 2 copies of that. I need to play that. This is really cool too. I started playing this game a while back. It's interesting because look at the original, look at this black label. On the back it doesn't have any images except this. But this is a really fun game. I started getting into it. Again, it's hard for me to get into like JRPGs and stuff, but that one was actually really fun. I liked it a lot. Let's see here. Street Fighter Alpha Anthology. That's all the Alpha games on one collection. Very good. Suikoden 4 and 5. I would like to get all of these. I haven't played them. I'm not very good at them, but I would like to collect. I'd like to have them, and then I could start from the first one, and try to play them. Super Bust-A-Move 1 and 2. 2 is this is amazing. I think this is the one everybody remembers because it's got the. This is the one everybody remembers because it's got this stupid ass cover of the baby on it. I know Leroy likes this, but he's fucking dumb. So this one is the fucking dope one right here. Look at that artwork. That is so sick. But this has Super Bust-A-Move 2 has like game types from every Puzzle Bobble out there. That's what this is, by the way, in case you guys don't know. This was the American title for Puzzle Bobble. We called it Bust-A-Move over here. But it has like every game type and new ones. It's so good. This is the one to get if you want to get into some Puzzle Bobble, some really good shit. All right. This drum game. Okay, you guys know this arcade game? You play the drums. It's a rhythm game. And I have the drum somewhere. Here it is. There's the drum, and it's got these big fat drumsticks. And we were playing that one day. Liz was downstairs. Her sister was visiting. So we were upstairs just playing that, and all they heard was just thumping and banging. And they were like, what the fuck are y'all doing up there? And they come up, and they open the door, and we're all like, look like scared children holding these big fucking drumsticks. Grown-ass men, man. Fuck. Turtle Smash Up. This is like a Smash Bros clone for Ninja Turtles. It could have been a lot better. I still like it. I think it's decent, you know. Tekken 5. Awesome. You know, really good shit. Let's see here. The Thing. This is an amazing fucking game. Great survival horror game. Still holds up. Still holds up very well. I recommend it. Time Splitters. You know what? The Time Splitters I like the most is Future Perfect on GameCube. I think that's the best one. This is a great one. Technobeat. This is a rhythm game that's a versus rhythm game. Competitive versus rhythm game. Really awesome. I won't go into super details. I say look it up. You know, I think we were going to record a video of it one time, but we never got around to it. But it has remixes of the Pac-Mania soundtrack, which I'm obsessed with the Pac-Mania soundtrack. And then I had no idea. We were playing it one day and I saw it and it blew my mind. I was like, oh shit. And that's because it's like, I guess published by Namco or some shit. I have no idea. So, actually it says Arika. Holy shit, that's an Arika game? Whoa, weird. Did not know that. Tourist Trophy. If you guys, this is basically, Tourist Trophy is like Gran Turismo, but with motorcycles. This is a fantastic game. If you like Gran Turismo and wanted to try one with motorcycles, that's literally what this is. It's Gran Turismo motorcycle, and they only made one of them, I guess. But I always loved that game. Beautiful Joe, 1 and 2, great game. Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, of course, amazing, fantastic game. See, some of these things I forget that I even own. I'm like, what is this? This looks cool, you know. Way of the Samurai. This is an amazing game. Very difficult. Katamari, Wild Arms. Yeah, you know. Oh, and of course, Ys. This is Ys 6, I believe. Yeah, Ys 6. This is a really good one. I like that one a lot. Very good game. It actually has a reoccurring character in it from the previous game that was only in Japan. But yeah, what's this thing? I don't know. But yeah, that's Ys 6 is really good. Yeah, so one thing I will say is some of these games, just like a couple, I don't have a disc for, and I'm really upset about it because one of them I don't have a disc for is like expensive, and it's unfortunate. What is it? Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is sad. Shadow Hearts. I got this and I'm just like, okay, this looks really cool. This looks neat. And there's no disc. I bought it off that granny. But I've tried finding the disc only, and it's expensive, just even the disc. So I still keep it. I might come across it one day, but anyway, so a lot of talking. That was sorry for the long-winded thing, but oh yeah, also this was one thing I should show because Buffalo was interested. Look at this Dragon Quest demo disc here. Probably came with the magazine or something like that. That's dope. Well, pretty cool. And I thought I had another one. Actually, you know what? I do have a copy of. Yeah, see, some of these are disc only. I have a copy of Oni, just the disc. This is a really cool character and game. This was Bungie before Halo did this, and she's such a cool character. I really liked her because it was like reminded me of Perfect Dark. You know, I need to get into that and try to play it for realsies. You know, I've tried it before, but not gotten serious about it. Anyway, okay, guys, this is the PS2 collection. I'm winded now. We'll move on to other stuff afterwards, but I appreciate you guys hanging out and watching if you stuck around. And hopefully you're liking these collection videos. You know, I'm enjoying them, having fun. We only have a few like consoles left, really. And then I thought maybe if you guys want, just let me know in the comments if you want me to talk about my other collection stuff, maybe my like figures and toys, or maybe you know, like this, like my VHS tapes or whatever, like if you guys want to know about those, or yeah, I don't know, DVDs, movie, whatever, you know, I got other collections of all types of shit, and I'll make some videos about it if you guys want. So yeah, just let me know, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I will catch you next time.